Odyssey, video game fun, computer keyboard challenge. The entrance to an alternate world of fire-breathing dragons, hard-hitting sluggers, arcade wizards, outer space wizards. More than 40 games in all. Odyssey, the excitement of a game, the mind of a computer. All for the price of an ordinary video game. Odyssey.
Hurry!
Who's that talking, Wizard of Odyssey?
A voice! Odyssey 2's new voice module warning me of the dreaded Ratapilla in Casey's crazy chase. Run! Hurry! I'm hurrying! Got you, Ratapilla. Incredible! The voice and new voice games. Only from Odyssey 2, where the keyboard is the key to greater challenge.
Hey folks, Crazy Clamor 80 here again. And this time we're going to look at the second generation home game console, the Magnavox Odyssey 2. And this was, of course, the follow-up to the Odyssey, which was released in 1972, and it sucked. This was released in 1978. And here's some information about the system. It was basically created by Philips and Magnavox. Philips was Magnavox's parent company in December of 78, and it was discontinued in 1983. It cost $200, and there was generally a total of 62 to 64 games, 47 of them released in the US. This was also known as the Philips G7000 Video Pack, the Philips C52, or just Odyssey. There's a power switch, cartridge slot. There were 2 million sold. You can use the keyboard to change difficulty or game layout, and there were no third-party games in the US until 1983. There's a 160 by 200 video resolution, 16 color palette, 8 sprites maximum. There's a single-channel audio 8244, 8245 audio video chip, 1.79 megahertz 8-bit Intel processor, 64-byte memory, and to switch output channels you must open up the Odyssey 2. And there was also a Philips Video Pack G7200, which was only released in Europe, and it had a black and white monitor. And there's a closer look at the keyboard. There's the 0 to 9 keys. There's plus, minus, times, divided by, equals, yes, no, clear, enter, reset, and the usual keyboard letters, comma, period, question mark, and space. And there is the first joystick made, very skinny joystick, and there's the second one, and that one is in black. And you plug them in back. And there is a box for the games that the games came in. And there's the cartridge. And each game, most games ended with an exclamation point. And there is the voice. It was a voice synthesis module, which was really cool for its time. Released in 1982. There's the game slot. There's a volume switch. There were 9 games made for it, and it was $100. It plugs onto the cartridge slot of the Odyssey 2. And here is the VideoPack C7010 chess module, released in 1982, in Europe only. It was a chess simulator, and it was pretty cool for its time. It came with a big old book to explain the rules of chess. Yeah, not released in the US. And there is the pitchman, the Wizard of Odyssey. I kind of thought he looked a little bit like TV's Frank from Mystery Science Theater 3000. So let's start by looking at some games that I would recommend for the Odyssey 2. We're not going to look at all of them. There weren't really that many, and I'm not going to do a 20 from series of the Magnavox Odyssey 2. But I would like to take a look at some games that I would recommend. Now, when you turned the power on and you had a game in the console, you would see this screen and you would hear a little sound effect. And the first game that we are going to look at well, we'll get to that in a second, but some of the games would allow you to input keyboard number or letters and numbers and stuff, and that might change the difficulty of your game. And that's what the question marks at the bottom are, where the key inputs would show. And the first game we're going to look at is Alien Invaders Plus. And this is actually an okay Space Invaders type game. You have a triangle spaceship at the bottom. You have the bottom row is just shields that block the way of your shots. And the next enemies up are cannons that fire at you. And then there is a UFO at the top that can be shot for extra points. Or actually, you can shoot him and he can shoot you. But if you get hit by an enemy laser, then your ship turns into a little man, and you have to find cover underneath one of the bunkers, and then press the fire button, and you will change back into the ship. And the last row at the top is just these men. They don't shoot at you, but that UFO at the top can shoot at you. And when you destroy all the enemies, then the UFO will make a dive at you. If you run out of bunkers and you get shot, then you are screwed because that UFO will come down after you. And you get 1 point for beating the UFO. Yeah, you don't score much in this game. This is kind of an interesting little take on Space Invaders. I kind of like it. You can shoot the enemy lasers, but the lasers start coming down pretty quick, and so you have to fire pretty fast. I'm screwed. Yeah, you can't shoot when you're a man there. But that is Alien Invaders Plus, and it's not a bad game. Now we're going to look at a game I really like, and this is Casey's Crazy Chase. This is the follow-up to Casey Munchkin, and this is a maze game, and this has the voice module with voice synthesis. I really like the voice synthesis for the Odyssey 2. Now in this game you're following a creature called the Dratapillar, and your goal is to eat all the segments of his body except for the head.
Incredible.
I love that. You are this little spinning head, and when you eat a body part of the Dratapillar, you can kill the other characters that are moving around the maze. They're called drats.
Incredible.
I just love the sound samples or voice samples on this game. The enemies get faster. You cannot touch the Dratapillar's head or you'll die. And you cannot touch the drats when they're not turned white or you'll die. You can eat the little trees, and so can the Dratapillar, but they only serve to get in your way, basically,
Incredible.
or cost you a little bit of time.
Watch out.
Oops.
Oh,
Oh no.
no. Watch out.
But the trees are only 1 point, so really they're not all that
Watch out.
special. Like I said, they basically serve to get in your way.
Hurry.
And yeah, you can eat the drats when they're white. They will change back to normal. I really like this game. This game's cool. You saw the Casey's Crazy Chase earlier in this video.
Watch out.
That the Wizard of Odyssey was playing.
Watch out.
And yeah, you can
Incredible.
put in keypad inputs while you're playing to change those question marks at the bottom into letters and maybe numbers, and maybe change the difficulty of the game. In some games, in some maze games, the maze might have invisible walls, or the speed might change, stuff like that. Note that the Dratterpillar tries to go after you.
Watch out.
So you need to sneak up behind him and eat his body parts, which really isn't that hard to do. This game is kind of fun. I like it.
Hurry. Hurry.
And I really like the voice samples in this game.
Oh,
There were a total of, I think, 9 games that used the voice.
no. Hurry.
And this time we're going to look at Casey Munchkin. Now, like I was saying, in some maze games, with you can change with the key inputs. You can change the difficulty, and that's what you can do in this. And here I have invisible walls as a difficulty, and that makes it pretty tough. You can stop, and then you'll be able to see the maze walls. This is like Pac-Man, and in fact, Magnavox or Philips got sued by Atari because of their Pac-Man game that they had, and Casey Munchkin clearly ripped off some things about Pac-Man, and so they had to stop production of Casey Munchkin. The Casey in Casey Munchkin was a play on Philips Consumer Electronics president Kenneth C. Mencken. And yeah, you have these little colored dots that act as energizers like in Pac-Man, and that'll allow you to turn the tables on your pursuers. They don't have to overtake you to kill you. They can just touch you and you're automatically dead. Yeah, there's a way to keep from having to have invisible maze walls, and I don't know what code you need to put in to get that. And now we're going to look at Pachinko, and I like this one. This one's fun. This has Pachinko, which is a Japanese kind of pinballish game, but it's a little different because you have little men at the bottom of the screen, and you bounce a ball to try to get it to land in those little cups and bounce out. And you get points for when it lands in those cups. You can get 0 points, 2 points, 3 points, 6 points, or 10 points. And I am controlling the yellow guy. You can press the button to make this little stick you've got bounce the balls upwards when it lands on it. Or you can just have it be inactive, and you can go over to a ball and scoop it up and flip it with the button, like there. And there are these little X's on the left and right. Those will bounce the ball back up when they land on them. And depending which color the X is, it might change the points if it hits it to one player or the other, or to credit one player or the other. See, I am the yellow guy, and I've got 72 points. Yeah, if a red ball for player 2 hits player number 1, then that ball will change to yellow. This game is really cool. And then there's a little congratulatory screen when you pass every 100 points, or if your opponent passes 100 points. Obviously, you'd like to try to get the ball in the cup that says 10, so you can get 10 points. And the values will shuffle every once in a while. This game is... I really like this. I'm not sure that there is an end to it. I think I played until I got to 500 points, and the game kept on going. Maybe there is an ending to it, I don't know. But I really think this is a great game. So far, you've probably noticed that the Magnavox Odyssey, or the Odyssey 2, does not have very many sound effects. It's not capable of very many sound effects or colors or graphics. So it really paled in comparison to the Atari 2600 or VCS, which was already out a year before this. So, not really a great system, but there are some games that are definitely worthy of playing on a rainy day. There, I got the 10. We're not going to do a full playthrough. We'll stop just short. But our next game is Pickaxe Pete, and a lot of Magnavox Odyssey 2 fans really love this. I didn't like it as much as they did. This kind of has the feeling of Infiltrate for Atari 2600 for me, although you get an axe, and you will eventually lose the axe. The axe will always destroy these boulders that you see rolling around. You can also jump over the boulders, or by pressing down and jump, which is weird, you can duck under the bouncing boulders. But basically your goal is to kind of wait until there is a key that will fly up to you, and then you can go in this door at the top center. And on higher difficulty levels, my eardrums. Yeah, you don't want to touch the spinning doors. You'll be incapacitated for a short while unless you, I think, wiggle the joystick and press the buttons. You will eventually lose the axe. Crap. Many of the Odyssey 2 games, and this is stupid. Stop that! Ouch! Many of the Odyssey 2 games only let you have one life, which is really dumb. And this is no exception. But we'll see me duck. Yeah, you have to learn the timing of ducking and jumping. There. Looks like he's doing calisthenics. And now we're going to look at Attack of the Time Lord, and I kind of like this one. And yeah, this has the voice, and it's kind of like Galaga. You see a flying formation of enemies. You can shoot their bullets, and the further you get in the game, the more daunting projectiles they will fire. There will be homing shots. There will be guided missiles. There will be these shots that you see. There will be shots that start to follow you once they land on the ground. I really do think that voice module is one of the best things about the Odyssey 2. I remember seeing the Odyssey 2 at my grandparents' when they lived in Renton, Washington. They had a Magnavox 2 in the box and a handful of games, but we didn't know how to hook it up, so I never got to bother with it. It's not great, I don't think. It has its fans, and there are some decent games, but yeah, compared to the Atari 2600, this really falls short. I think this was like 4th in second generation game console sales. Yeah, those green shots will start following you once they land on the ground, but they'll only be able to follow you a short distance. Don't get caught in the corner. Whoops. Yeah, you only get one life there too. So we start over. Yeah, that's stupid that a lot of the games only gave you one life. You get points for shooting the projectiles. Sometimes it's hard to understand the voice module speech synthesis. There was this almost maybe feels a little like Demon Attack. There was a release of Demon Attack for the Odyssey 2. I did not think it was very good. I greatly prefer the Atari 2600 version. Some of these games I just did a short little review of, and some of them I did a longer review of, like this one. The only Odyssey 2 game I played back in the day was Casey Munchkin, only because it was on a display at, I think, like a Sears or something. But yeah, one of the best things about the Odyssey 2 is that voice module is really cool. Yeah, like I said, I think there was like 9 games that were made for the voice module. You could play games on the voice module that weren't supposed to be voice games, and they won't have voice, but you can still play them. And you could play games that were meant for the voice module, and you can play them without the voice module, but you won't hear the voice samples. Oh man, I'm not sure what he said there. But yeah, you can put in the letters and maybe get a stiffer challenge, or maybe make the game easier, I don't know. But now we're going to look at Atlantis, and this is definitely one of the best titles for the Odyssey 2. This was created by Imagic. This got a lot of notice on the Atari 2600 or VCS. And it's this is pretty darn good for the Odyssey as well. This kind of makes me think of Missile Command. You can fire from either the left or right cannons. You can fire from them both at the same time if you like. But you fire at these targets that fly by. It doesn't look like much to start with, but eventually the targets will start firing on these cities that you need to protect. I kind of remember this for the Atari 2600. Overall, for the system, I'm not too impressed. Like I said, it generally has lesser graphics, sound, and music than the Atari 2600 or VCS, or just about any of the other second generation consoles back in the day. The top sellers were the Atari 2600, the ColecoVision, and the Intellivision for second generation consoles. Look how fast the targets fly now. There, we've got one enemy shooting at the cities. Yeah, the US Magnavox Odyssey 2 did not have third-party support until like 1983, like the last year of the system. But there was support in like Brazil and Europe from third parties. And that's the end of my game. And now we're going to look at Super Cobra. Now this is totally different from the arcade version in that it's kind of like Pitfall. It just goes from fixed screen to fixed screen, but it's still kind of cool. you have a certain amount of bombs that you can use, and once you get hit, that costs you one hit, and the number at the bottom right indicates how many more hits you can take. Kind of cool version of the arcade game. Now we're going to look at baseball, and this is okay for the Odyssey 2. It's not too bad. You can hit home runs, you can hit the ball in the outfield, and you can move the outfielders a little bit. You can change the direction of your pitch. And then this is Cosmic Conflict. And this one's alright. This is kind of like the old arcade classic Starfire. And you move the cursor around to fire your lasers at these ships. And the lasers cost you energy points. Getting hit also costs you energy points. And you have a certain amount of targets that you need to hit. And some of the enemies can hit you and also cost you energy. And now this is P.T. Barnum's Acrobats. This is okay. This is like Circus Atari, except you get kind of a 3D look at your clown when they die, or your acrobat. And this is Pocket Billiards, a game of pool for the Odyssey 2. It's kind of stiff, but better than you might think. Got like 16 directions that you can shoot your cue ball. Just try to clear the table. Not a bad game. And this is Sid the Spellbinder, and this is another voice module game. And you try to take out this centipede, and in between taking out the centipedes, you are asked to spell a word for points. And this is Smithereens. This is the old artillery computer game, except it has the voice module. And it'll make snide comments when you miss. And it has nice explosion sound effects when you hit castle wall. A little whistling of the catapult. Kind of cool. I kind of like it. And now we're going to look at Thunderball. And this is basically Odyssey 2's video pinball. It kind of looks funky when you flip the ball back up. It kind of looks like you missed or something, but it's alright. And now we're going to look at Turtles, and this is the arcade game by Konami. And it's faithfully redone for the Odyssey 2. You just got to collect baby turtles from the question marks and bring them to the little house icon, and you can use bombs to stun your pursuers, which are supposed to be like beetles. If you run out of bombs, and you'll hear this indicator that says you're out of bombs, you can collect more from a little icon in the center of the screen. But that's how you play Turtles. I remember seeing the arcade version, I think maybe a couple times. That gets really annoying. Note that the beetles cannot cross each other. If they bump into each other, they have to back up the other way. And that's me beating a stage. And you would see this little scenario here in the arcade version too. Kind of cool. And now we're going to look at Type and Tell. It's kind of stupid, but it's an IntelliVoice game, or a voice module game. And you can type out words, and the game will try to say the words. Get bent. But those were some decent enough games for the Odyssey 2. Some other comments I have to make. People hated this membrane keyboard. It was not responsive. It didn't have regular buttons like a regular keyboard. And yeah, you type the letters to maybe change the challenge in some of your Odyssey 2 games. And yeah, see, there's a P at the bottom. When you press the keys, you can maybe put in a word or a bunch of letters or numbers or something, and that might change the challenge in the game you're playing. But that was my look at the Odyssey 2, created in 1978, a second-party video game console by Philips and Magnavox. Well, this is Crazy Clown Race, and thanks for watching my look at the Magnavox Odyssey 2. Not that great a system, I don't think. Well, I thank you for watching, and I hope I catch you soon with my next video. Take it easy, everybody. Bye-bye.